Good evening, everyone. I just was, my first video went apparently very well, so I just was going to talk some more about my experience. I feel a little bit better, but I know this is still a process, so like I'm probably good for now, and then something will hit me and then be all jacked up the next day. But I definitely wanted to tell everyone, especially after this whole situation, and just reflecting that whether you are in whoever you're dating, it doesn't matter. Male, female, male, male, female, female. You know, I definitely wanted to let everyone know, like, when someone like rejects you, it will cause a person to have a level of insecurity, even if they're not necessarily insecure in that in that type of or in that level, but it'll definitely give you a level of insecurity for a while, and you'll begin to start thinking, why me? What did I do wrong? Why won't this person love me? Why won't this person accept me? Why won't this person treat me right? And I'm gonna say that when like in my past relationships and everything, I remember saying that to myself, why won't they treat me this way? But I just begin to learn, like, if you have to figuratively, not literally, jump up and down and tell someone to not treat you a certain way, then and they continue to do it, then that is not the relationship that you need to be in, nor is that a relationship for you. um I just remember, like, in that I was married once, and um in my marriage it was just my husband then, he did not love me like I loved him. And I think maybe I get into things a little bit more harsh or hard than everyone else would. But I still think, but at the end of the day, he still didn't love me like I wanted to be loved, or needed to, or was even trying to do for him. And so at the end of that, I remember him telling me, and it was like, mm, I forget, it was in the summer, and I remember this particular day, he had, earlier that week, he had went to California to go help a friend. And in that, he had I had helped him, pack up, bought him some stuff to put in a cooler so he could take it down to his trip, because I was driving down there. But he didn't have a cell phone, so there was no way I could get in contact with him. So it was days, almost a week. And something just said, go by his house. So I did. And he was there. And so I go and I say, well, you've been here this whole entire time. Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me anything? And his response was, well, we weren't like that, so I felt no need to call you. Mind you, I'm your wife. But we were not living together, which is a whole nother story. But with that statement, I remember telling him, what do you mean we're not like that? We just slept together earlier in that week before you left. And now you're saying we weren't like that, and you're my husband? And so I said, what is it that you want to do? And this man told me, I don't love you anymore. I'm not in love with you. I don't want to be married. Marriage is difficult, and I don't want to. And I want a divorce. And I remember feeling just like, I remember saying, okay. And I cried when I got in the car. And I remember I had to go back to school, and I cried there too. And at that point, there was nothing for me to do. So this happened in August because I remember I had to go back to school. But the interesting thing about him telling me he didn't love me anymore was that I had already knew it, like probably about 4 months earlier. It was during the Memorial Day weekend. And I remember I was staying at his house because we had came back from Pullman, me and my daughter. And I remember watching Hope Floats. And at the beginning of the show, they're showing Sandra Bullock in she was a guest on a talk show, and she thought she was there because somebody, I can't remember, it was something like she was pretty popular back in high school, so they were discussing about her when she was in high school, how was folks just liked her and be with her. And then what happened was the the talk show host then said, somebody wants to tell you something. So she hears his voice, and it was her husband. And so he came out and he told her on TV, national TV, I've been, having an affair, and it was with one of your really good friends, and we actually want to give it a try, so we're done. And she looked with a state of shock, and she was just like, you don't love me anymore, or something like that. And it was just seeing that movie and that whole that part of the scene. That's when I realized that my husband, which is not my ex, did not love me, and I knew that. So then, speeding up to August, when he tells me he's not in love with me anymore, marriage is too difficult, I'd already knew. I'd already saw it. So it was hurtful. And I had to deal with it. I had to figure it out, and it was kind of hard to do, but I did. And so, I remember having such a low self-esteem and a very low viewpoint of myself, because I was thinking, like, what didn't I do? What did I do? What can I do? And nothing was working. Nothing. I remember when I went over to college to Wazoo. So here's a story. When I was married, we were married for 3.5 years. However, in those 3.5 years, we only lived together for 10 months. And even in that, it wasn't consecutive that we were living together. So this man would pack up and leave and go to his mom's, and then come back maybe a month or two later. So he did this to me 4 times. And finally at the 4th time, and I remember it was Labor Day weekend, so the early part of September, and that was the last time he left me. And it was just like, wow, so it was hard, and I just really loved this man so much, to the point, I would do anything. So when we were over in Wazoo, though, this man didn't have a cell phone, and I was over there, and I gave him my cell phone because I had a landline, thinking we were working on our marriage. And I would call this guy. He would turn off the phone that I'm paying, mind you. He wasn't paying for nothing. And so then when I asked him, why did you turn off the phone? I'm your wife. Like, because I was sleeping. I didn't want to be bothered. I'm your wife. You ain't even called to check up on me. But this is what I dealt with in my marriage. And it was painful. It was emotional. It was draining. And but when I got the divorce, I was fine, because I just was like, I was kind of ready to be done as well. So, um, but I went through a lot in that situation. I went through a lot because I remember um, this man would be the last one to get out the bed in the morning, but the first one to be in it. Mind you, when we first got married, I was working like 2 jobs, and yeah, it was a struggle. So, but I want to encourage people, like, when you're in a relationship and somebody walks away from you and they're rejecting you, excuse me, their that's their issue and it's not yours. But well, what I find myself in, which I see with a lot of women, they take on this insecurity and they take on this fact of maybe I'm not worthy, or maybe I don't deserve anyone. And I just want to tell you, like, everyone is always worthy to be loved and to be loved the right way. And we as women, because again, I haven't dated women, I only date men, but this can go both ways for men and women. When you're experiencing a relationship where you're giving 150 and these people that you're with are only giving like 5%, don't let what they do then put you in a place where you have an insecurity about yourself because of what they have done or what they said. Like I told you, the last relationship that I was in that I'm, trying to heal from, which started this whole thing, was the fact that that man would say stuff to me that it just made me feel like he didn't cherish anything about me in his life. And, that was, hard. Like, here I'm out here and I'm working hard for everything that I have, not asking for a handout, and still taking care of my kids and still trying to be an effective and efficient soldier, in the army and stuff. So, but it caused me to have an insecurity, like I was not worthy of anything. And then I found myself constantly trying to show, oh no, but I am worthy. Oh no, but I'm just going to tell you, don't do that. Just don't do that. You know, um, in this last relationship that I am speaking of, I found that even though, like, I want to, I loved him, so a part of me is hurt, by it, that, he pretty much rejected me. The other part is that when thinking about it, and I may say, or when thinking about it and thinking about, oh, what is it that I want? I can say I don't want to be back with him, only because I know who you are. So that saying Maya Angelou says is that if when people show you who they are, believe them. And so for me, he's definitely showed me who he was and how he gets down and how he operates. And so, even in that though, knowing that how he is and he's not going to change. And to be quite honest, I don't have the monopoly on him doing me a certain way, because it just seems like he was that way with everyone. See, the thing about it is, when you're whoever you are, whatever characteristics that you have, you can hide them only for so long, and then it's all going to come out. So, I mean, I know without a shadow of a doubt he was like this with other women too, so I can't necessarily think I take the monopoly on that, or that, I'm just this special person that deserved to be treated the way I was with him. Because, no, I didn't. But when I think about certain things that were red flags and I just ignored them, I tend to get upset with myself, which anyone would. But again, I then have to check myself and not get mad because, you know, I loved him, and I thought whatever his potential was, it was going to be great. But what I was dealing with was the reality of that person. So I saw the potential of them being a great husband, great provider, great, you know, protector of me. But the reality was, and still is in my eyes, he couldn't be a great husband to me. He couldn't be a great protector to me. He couldn't even be, you know, a good friend to me, because when you love someone, you wouldn't want to do anything to hurt them, and all you want to do is show them your love. So like for me, like I told you, you guys, I spent a lot of time biting my tongue on a lot of things in regards to him. The biggest reason why was because I knew if I said anything that went against him, you know, here he goes speaking, like telling me I'm speaking derogatory about him. If I say, well, you know, you don't really show me that I'm important to you, or that, you know, you want to be with me. And so it was that I was being derogatory, or I'm attacking him. And so I was like, what? You know, that's the kind of stuff that I would deal with. So, excuse me. So I say, you know, I didn't really say too much to him to try and hurt him. And I could have. And everything I would have said would have been the truth, because that's what I saw. I saw certain things about him. But I couldn't say anything because this man didn't know how to communicate properly. So, you know, but I saw red flags, but I just thought, okay, well, you know, he'll get better. He'll get better. Let me tell you, unless Jesus walks down from the sky and a cloud is descended with him on it, and the cloud turns into steps so he can step down and talk to a person, no, ain't nothing. Yeah, that's them. That's just who they are, and I get that. But it just sucks that you had to, that the other person that has no idea who and what you really are has to suffer behind it. Because, you know, for me, I was just so in love with this guy, you know, loved him. I mean, I was willing to pack up my whole life to go with him and be married. And, you know, I just think about it, and it just bothers me how I was willing to give up a lot of stuff for him. And that wasn't the same that I was getting out of him. And it sucks when you feel like you're in a relationship by yourself. It really does. But I dealt with it. And, you know, it's funny because one of my friends said, you know, you have to be willing to put up with whatever, you know, if you want to be in a relationship. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, because whatever could be that the person you're with has to talk to an opposite sex that is not you and they're committed in a relationship to. And, you know, that may be what you may have to deal with. And if you want that relationship, if you want that man that bad, then you'll deal with it. But if you're like valuing who you are, you won't go for that. You won't. And like I said to you guys in the earlier video, like, I know I did not value who I was in a lot of these relationships. Not at all. And because if I did, the minute they started doing some tomfoolery and Mark shenanigans, then I would have been like, deuces, you know. But I try to give people a chance because I'm like, well, maybe I need to be more patient with them because, and I look at that only because I would want somebody to be patient with me, and you know, so I try to do that and not judge, just be there and be patient. And I just been found in like that's not what men, again, I only date men. That's not what they seem to want. You know, they don't want your level of patience. Like I told this dude, you. I had asked him. I was like, "Do you even know what I like?" This man could only tell me about sexual things. Okay, but that wasn't what I was talking about. And I told him, you know, I knew the kind of stuff he liked, and I did it. He liked a certain type of energy drink. I would go and buy him when I knew he was coming over. In the morning, you know, I'd have to kind of pack him a little small to go breakfast, nothing big, but I did that because I knew this man wasn't going to eat if I did not. Um, Even when he would come over, you know, I would go and fix his plate. I would go and fix his plate and serve him. And it was just like I couldn't get the same out of him. So it is very painstakingly hard to deal with that, to realize that a person really did not love you. Even though they said they didn't. Because the thing about love will make you stick around. Love will make you tolerate some things even when you don't want to, you know, which I felt like I did in regards to him. And to be quite honest, me and my kids, we loved him a lot. And this man just pissed and crapped on all of our love towards him, you know. And it was just hard. It's just been hard to deal with, especially because now I'm reflecting on other relationships, you know. So it's just been a hard thing, but I know that I'm in the going through the process, which right now is this is my process, and I have to get over to the other side of what they call through it. You know what I'm saying? So right now I'm in the thick of it. You know, in the valley, walking through the low parts that are causing, which are a struggle. You know, can be a struggle emotionally to where you can't even get to the other side. But I'm just really determined. But he, you know, and I hadn't been in love like this for a while. And it's hard. It has been very, very hard. But, you know, I really want to encourage people to address whatever you're going through in a relationship. Address, you know, and if they respond to you in a negative way, then you need to understand this is them. They're not going to change. Because one thing you can't be in is a relationship where there's not a level of communication. Now, communicating is important and you should express how you feel, but you definitely have to learn the person that you're with and how they operate to be able to know when to communicate to them about certain things. But if they can't communicate with you at all about things, then you need to go ahead and 86 that juke joint, or excuse me, that relationship. You know, you need to go on and call the time of death. Don't even put the paddles out and try and pump any type of anything in that relationship. Call the time of death on that relationship. It should be like this. Okay, this relationship's over. Time of death, 8:15 in the a.m. Okay? That's how we need to do that. Because it's flatlined. So, you know, I just, and, you know, like, I remember in our relationship, the first, what was it? We started, it was like 5 months in. And let me tell you something, people. You need to know who you're dealing with and who you're not. You need to know, who that person is. Not necessarily, I mean, in a good and bad way, but I say all that to say, like, um, I had shared with him like some of my past experiences, past relationships that I had with other people, and I expressed to him that, and like I experienced cheating to the point that I caught them, like caught them. Ain't heard about it, no, seen it with these eyes myself, and let me tell you, uh-oh. And let me tell you, I wear glasses, so I can see very good. Okay, so, and I say all that to say that, I know God loves me, because when I see stuff, God seems to let me know. Like I'll have an intuition or something. And so I remember I talked to him earlier in the day, and he got off the phone with me, and it was pretty early. And I was just like, something don't seem right. So I laid down, and I was like, something don't seem right. And I called him, didn't answer him. And I was like, something didn't seem right. And something kept saying, go, go, go. I was like, no, I don't want to. Someone was like, go, you need to go. So I got in my car, and I left my house at about 10, 15 or so. And I got there at like 10:45, 11 o'clock. Get to his house. I don't see one of his cars, and he's not there. But there's another car that's parked there. And I was like, what the hell? Like, it was just like, okay. So I remember I sat there almost the whole night. And I remember praying and saying, God, please just just let this dude come home before it gets early in the morning, because I don't want to get stuck in that Tacoma traffic. And so I sat there, and I sat and I sat. And finally, this man showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And with him showing up, he showed up with this chick. Got out the truck. Oh. Let me tell you, saints. He pulled, so what happens, he came, and then he drove around the little trail and came back around. So gets out the truck, and the girl gets out the truck. And I was like, he was like, hey. And I was like, hey, And I went up to the girl, and I introduced myself. Hey, how you doing? Oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to be his girlfriend, but he's rolling up here with you, so I guess not. And so he was just a little, he was a coward then. And I remember I was talking to her, and this girl's talking to me like, I think she asked me, how old are you, sweetheart? Because I was looking like this. I do remember this was like the very hairstyle I had. I had a bun, and I had my glasses on and sweat. So I guess to her, I looked like I was like 20 or something, because she's sitting here calling me sweetheart. I gave her some words. And then that's not, edifying to the body of Christ. So I won't say all that. But I was like, and I told her my age. And I said, yeah, so, it ain't like that. And so he came up and he starts talking, and so I was telling her, like, I'm supposed to be his girlfriend, but here he is rolling up with you at 3 in the morning. And I said, and I knew it. I said, but I'm going to tell you something. I said, see, I told this man, God loves me, and he loves me so much that what he will do is tell me to go, and I go, and he shows me. I said, so that's what he did. So then, I'm talking to her, and he comes over, and he's like, it's not her fault, it's all my fault. And I went off. I'm bleep, bleep, bleep. That's all you could, I was saying the words, but for, I don't cuss anymore. So I was like, bleep, 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 bleep. And so, and I told him, I said, I know it's not her fault. I know you're the dumb idiot that, I'm just cussing and going off. So he said something, and I'm not sure, I can't remember what it was, but it enraged me so much that I swear I reached all the way in Alabama State and came up and slapped the crap out of him all the way in Washington. Okay, that's how far by. And I mean, I hit him hard. And the thing about this guy is, like, he's pretty big. You know, he's pretty big. He ain't that tall, but he's pretty big. And like, I know he could have snapped my neck like a twig if he wanted to. Probably even punch me, and I'd be down and out for the count. Okay, like out, like waking up days later, like, where am I? What happened? If he, if he had to hit me back, or did whatever. But I remember slamming. My hand hurt so bad because I'm telling you, this dude is, bulky. My hand was hurting. It was stinging. But that's what I felt like. And so after that, he was trying to call me because I was like, I'm good. I'm done. Deuces. So he was trying to call me. Of course, I wasn't accepting no phone calls. I wasn't talking. I wasn't nothing. So it was like, I got home probably at like 4 or so. What was it? Yeah, it was about 4. And so then I went, I'd take my girls to their appointment. So he's calling, leaving messages. Man, at this point, I'm just good. And, yeah, but I didn't allow that to be, that was clearly a red flag. And I didn't even, take heed to that red flag that was showing me. Because at that point, he showed me who he was. So I definitely should have believed him. And so, I say all that to say, like, when you see these red flags, don't ignore them. Don't act like they're not there. They're there for a reason. Because, eventually, if you stay with them long enough, they're going to do exactly, whatever the red flag is, that's going to be the issue. That's going to be the problem, along with others. But, so, I went through that in that relationship, and it just, I remember when I saw that broke my heart, because the past 2 relationships that I was in before him, I caught these men red-handed. I caught them. So I say all that to say that I know God loves me. And I did. I was able to get through that. I was able to, heal from it in the instance that it didn't have a sting, and it didn't have, me worrying, oh my God, what if they get with somebody else and they treat somebody better? It didn't have me in that state. Or no, I was in that state, but, now I'm just, and I got through it. That was the thing. I got through it. So, and you know what? I think what happens to us as people when we are rejected by something or someone, what hurts so bad is that you rejected, me, or they rejected you. But then the level of an I don't care attitude that they seem to have, that's what, just stings so hard. And so, like, this guy, he broke up with me. And each and every time he broke up with me, he wasn't man enough to come up and talk to me about it and say anything about it. Anytime that he and I was talking and we were talking about, our relationship and how things went down, it was always me. Always me reaching out, always me talking to him. So, and I remember telling him that here just recently. You ain't never been the one to reach out to me and talk to me after you're the one that has created the offense, after you're the one that has broken the trust. It's always been me coming and talk to you. And he did say, yes, I have. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. That was when I caught you with the frumpy broad at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then you wanted to come and apologize because you was caught red-handed and you were wrong. But all the rest of this, you don't try and take responsibility for anything. And so, yeah, I was always the one reaching out to him. So in that, when I said like it's hard when you're rejected, because then it just seems like that person doesn't care nothing about you and your feelings. And so like for this guy, yeah, you didn't love me even though he said he did, and I felt you didn't love me from jump. You didn't, because if you did, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't. Love would not have you just walk away from a relationship that quick and not care to fix anything, not care to try and make it right, not fight for it at all. And so that is a hard pill to swallow, very hard. And yet you'll still care for them, and yet you'll be concerned, and they're like, don't they're not concerned about nothing concerning you. Like that's a very hurtful realization to come to, and it doesn't feel good, because I know at the end of the day everybody wants to be loved, and they want to be loved the right way. And asking for that or wanting that is not something that's hard to give or do. However, I will say that it is hard for someone to give and do that, because that's not in them to give and do. So that's why it's hard for them. So, and I discussed this with him, and I did tell him, you ain't even cared, you ain't even this. And so it's just been very, very hard to deal with. And again, like I said, I'm not going to say I'm not never going to be in a relationship, because I don't want to allow what I've been through to close me up, my heart up, and my mind for love, if it's real and it's God sent. So, and I would definitely encourage everyone to do the same. And the one thing that I hate doing is crying, which I found myself doing a lot of it. And what I love, even in this, what I'm going through right now, and let me tell you, it's hard. What I love is that, when you're going through this kind of stuff, you can ask God to help you. You know what I'm saying? You can ask God to fix your heart, and to fix your mind, renew your mind, transform your mind, and even just to fix your heart so that you don't become cold and callous towards people. And I'm not saying I've arrived, I'm just saying I know, because I'm going through this whole process myself. So, even with rejection from someone, I have to say, don't acquire an insecurity within yourself. Don't do it. And I know it's easier said than done, but don't, because at the end of the day, it is definitely them and it's not you. And I'm gonna tell you, a lot of times, you'll find yourself emotionally distraught. And I will say counseling is very good to get while you're going through this, only because counseling can help you kind of sort things out. Counseling allows you to cry. Counseling allows you to be, to express your true, authentic heart and feelings as to what you're dealing with, but I encourage everyone to not let rejection get the best of you, or, cause you to begin to acquire an insecurity about yourself, because that person that rejected you, they actually are the ones that have the insecurity. And let me tell you this, you mark my words, the Bible says that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. And so one thing I'm going to tell y'all and I know for sure, a person will always reap what they sow, which is called, I guess, karma. They're gonna get it. And this is why I encourage, like, for people to talk to the person that has rejected you and made you feel some type of way or whatever. Talk to them, because I believe when you talk to them and you vocalize what they've done to you, it's now, as you would call, my god brother said, on record. And if you believe in the universe or whatever, it is out there. And so when they start experiencing the suffering, the reaping, the karma, trust me, when they experience it, they're going to know it's because of what they did to you. And why are they going to know? Because what you said to them, how you expressed your feelings and what they did to you is now out, like I said, it's on record. So now the karma, the soul, the reaping, getting it back, it's all gonna come to pass, and they're gonna remember, you know what, I'm going through this because of her. So don't get confused in this, and speak your truth. Speak your truth. Whatever that truth is, speak it. But here's the other thing I would tell people. I remember when I was going through my divorce with my ex-husband, and I kept coming back from Pullman over here to Seattle, and what happens is you get a lot of people being negative towards you. Why you want to do that? Why you want to go here? Why you want to do that? When I remember I think it was my grandmother's like, why you want to drive back over here? And so it was causing me to have some doubts. But then, I remember I was talking to my dad, and I was telling him that I was thinking about coming back home for that weekend. And I told him what my grandmother had said, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna tell you, who is anyone to tell you how you can go through your process? Who is anyone to tell you that? He said, are they you? Do they experience your feelings? Do they know how you feel? He said, so don't you let nobody tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing to help you get through this hurt. He said, so if it is that you want to drive over to from Pullman to Seattle, he said, go right ahead. Do whatever you feel like you need to do. And you know what I took from that, and which I tell people all the time? I remember this one lady was going through a divorce, and she came up to me and she asked me, how did I get through it? And I said, I can't even give you any advice that's going to help you, because we're dealing with the emotions of the heart. So nothing is going to help heal that. But what I am going to say is, whatever it is you feel like you need to do to help you get through that process, whatever it is, do it. Just understand, you're going to have to be able to accept the consequences and be ready for them. So, and what that means is, like, if you got to call somebody and cuss them out every day, or I wouldn't encourage this, but if you got a Kia car, wink, wink, man, do what you need to do. However, be ready to face charges from the police, and maybe spending a night or a few in jail, depending on if you got warrants or not. Be prepared for whatever, and because every action has a reaction. So that's what I'll say. But again, if that's your process as to what you need to do to get through it, by all means, do what you need to do to get through it. Because nobody is you. Nobody knows your story. Nobody knows your story like you know your story. Nobody knows how you feel but you. So just do whatever you feel like it is that you need to do. If you need to sleep with that person for 4 or 5 more times before you're like, I'm good, I'm done, I'm healed, that's your process. But be able to accept the fact that while you're sleeping with this person, they may come up with another person on their arm somewhere. So, and I'm gonna say, we need to be, not being so ready to sleep with people. I think if you take your time with them, either they'll come out to be the right thing and the real thing to you, or you'll find that they're only out to satisfy them and not about trying to be there for you. So, you know, I would just say, rejection is gonna happen no matter what you do. But definitely in a relationship, when somebody else rejects you, we don't need to pick up that insecurity. Get that insecurity away from you. Ask God to help you to, see yourself as He does, and build yourself up, because the insecurity you have, it wasn't yours in the first place. Somebody placed that on you by their actions. Don't take it. And again, this is easier said than done, and you may have to work through this process, but I encourage you to do so. And I'm still going through mine. I still am. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please give me feedback and content as to what you may want me to discuss. And like I told you, I'll be talking about other relationships that I've been in, and what I'm experiencing. Probably the next video will be talking about patterns of these people, like patterns in the people that I've dated, and recognizing like what's the trait and what it is that I'm attracting, so that I can go ahead and revamp whatever is in me to not attract that type of a person. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great night. Please stay safe from this coronavirus. Try not to let people around you. Definitely tell them 50 feet. Better yet, tell them whatever you guys say. Call me on the phone, text me. You know what I'm saying? But stay safe. Hope you guys have a good night and a good day. And, God bless. Till the next